That is the most unflattering angle of me. It's highlighting my two missing molars. I got those. Growing up, I had a lot of dental work. I don't know, bad at brushing my teeth, soft teeth. I don't know. I've heard it all. But I had a bunch of root canals, and actually on both of those, I had double root canals because the crown like messed up, and they had to go back in, and then they pulled it. And now I have a great dentist that goes to the church I go to, VU, Lee Dental Practice. It's in Lake Forest, California. I love VU. But before that, I didn't have a great experience with the dentist because I never really trusted the dentist. I really didn't know what was going on. It's always that, you know, I always hate that idea that you hide behind your knowledge, that you make something complex, and you can't say it simple. So I always had dentists that really like just confused me, and you never know, like, do I really need to get that taken care of, or is that really the only option? And so now I have a dentist that I trust, but the big thing is that those I could get a bridge or something there, but it just costs so much money, and so I'm so cheap. I'm just so cheap. I have no problem with the gaps, except for when you're eating chips and they get stuck. Anyways, I just distracted. So I was just thinking about my teeth and how my mouth itself is such a story of my upbringing and just different things of how much money I've spent on my mouth itself. The last 6 years, actually the last 8 years have been a very good trek with my mouth. I've had good teeth for the most part. But this week has been kind of a whirlwind just with, our offices a lot of people have taken off. My boss is off right now this week. And so we coming off Easter. So I know like everybody, our Easter services don't end. This is a weird thing with online is that we stream our services from Saturday all the way to the following Saturday. So Easter still happens. So everybody else is kind of off, but I still have people responding. And so I send a, post-Easter, what I do is that I usually send, during Easter services, I send an update of how many people committed their life to Christ, how many people, I have to manually run this report for our Roku numbers. And so I send that, but on the every day after, a lot of people are off, and I still send a daily report. And so I think yesterday I ran, and I got to run it today, but yesterday we had 148 people had said yes to Christ online from our Easter services, which is so cool. And just been praying for those people, been following up. We have some follow-up, doing some different things about getting people into groups. And so I've been thinking about that. And the other thing I've been thinking about is we're messing around with this idea as so with what I do is that we move online to offline by getting people to host groups in their areas, and then we've added this last part that I've been talking about on these vlogs and also on the podcast, Social Media Church podcast, that this idea of getting local Saddleback started. Now, I don't have the power of starting Saddlebacks anywhere. That's not my job, but I can help inform maybe where there's a core group. And so I want to start groups in homes. So one of the things I've added is starting online to offline by hosting a group in your home and help connect people in their area. And so if I can do that by meetup, where I go there and connect people, or maybe somebody could start a group, and maybe they could facilitate a meetup. It doesn't matter. Like one of those, man, I hate that about this Logitech cam. If I move too far, there's like this focus thing. Anyways, something that I'm thinking about doing is that I have a leadership team that helps care for my 1,300 and I think 60 groups that I'm over. Is that what if I move these leaders? So I have leaders in New York and Virginia and South Carolina and up in Oregon and Singapore and Australia. I was trying to think what country, in I think it's South Australia, and then in London. And so I have all these areas. So what if I organize these leads over different regions? And so like Australia is easy because we don't have anybody else, so I could just put one person over Australia right now. I have 2 people in Europe, so I can put 2 people over Europe. I could put I have 2 people in Asia, one in the Philippines and one in Singapore, so I can kind of put Asia. I I have one person who is in Mexico City, so I can kind of put them over Mexico and South America right now. But America's tough because I have groups scattered in a bunch of these different areas. So I'm trying to figure out how to regionally break it up. And then the idea is, my hope is, if I put these over these areas, I have a point person. So give them groups close to them, and maybe I could come in and do like a meetup. So go to New York and have that CL organize that and do this. And so I'm wrestling through geographically. And then at the end of the day, I have to rearrange 1,300 groups in a system. And so I'm trying to figure out the easiest way to do it. And it's kind of been consuming my mind, even when I'm not working, of like, okay, how do I break this up? What's the end goal? So if I want to move people online to offline, one of the biggest things that if I can give them more of a point person, not just because of time zones, but just a point person. So if there is a need, that person can drive or, whatever, even if it's a couple hours. So I've been wrestling through that process. That's kind of what's been consuming my mind this week. So anyways, I just wanted to share what was rolling around in my head this week. That's my vlog. That's what I got. Have a good rest of the week.